Well, that was a movie. Well, hey there, friendships. Welcome back to Curtis Corner. If you're new here, hi, I'm Curtis. This is my corner, and on today's Film Friday, we have a roller coaster to go on together because we're going to be talking about the controversial, hit or miss, love it or hate it, Halloween Ends. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, and I'm going to try my best to stick to that, because I want to give you a spoiler review after I go and see this film for a second time. Because I have a lot of thoughts just after first watching, and I need to kind of explain what they were trying to do in this film. And I want to see if the second viewing is going to change my experience in any way, whether it be for the better or for the worse. With all of that being said, let's jump in. This is the third installment of the Blumhouse trilogy. Jamie Lee Curtis reprises her role as Laurie Strode, the final girl, the scream queen, the one that essentially kicked off slasher films into a whole new era. We also have the return of Kyle Richards as Lindsay Wallace. We have Andi Matichak returning as Allison. Will Patton as Officer Hawkins is also reprising his role. James Jude Courtney reprises his role as The Shape, Michael Myers, fully outfitted into his mask. And newcomer to the series, Rowan Campbell as Corey Cunningham. Now, Blumhouse makes some really good films for the most part. Jamie Lee Curtis and Blumhouse had both come out and said that this film is very decisive when it comes to how the trilogy is ending. It is also very divisive as to how the fans of Halloween are going to be taking this film. And I can see why. They took a lot of liberties doing a very out there storyline than what we are used to within this franchise. They definitely took a huge leap going in a direction that they chose to go into. And I can see the benefits of this. I can see some people who are probably just getting into this franchise enjoying this film. I think people who have grown up watching this franchise, seeing Halloween 78 in theaters 40 years ago, watching everything kind of come to fruition, they're probably going to hate this movie a lot. And then there's the people who know the stories, have watched the movies, are fans of the movies, where they could enjoy this film but hate some of the choices, or hate this film and like some of the choices. It's very up in the air depending on what type of demographic is going to be watching this. I will say, out of the 3 that Blumhouse gave us, this one is a lot more heavy for storytelling. The first third of the movie, it's extreme storytelling, and you're not sure exactly where this is going to be going. And it almost sets it up to be going in one direction, but then quickly changes its head into going to somewhere they've never done before. The second portion of this film is almost a let's play around with the audience type of vibe. You're not entirely sure what exactly is going on. And then the third and final part of the film is very much the mid to high level, depending on who you are, adrenaline rush that you're going to get from an epic final battle, conclusion to a story that's been going on for 40 years. And I will say, out of the entirety of the film, I was the most on the edge of my seat in that final third act. The first act, honestly, I was kind of bored. The second act, I was extremely confused as to kind of what I was watching, what direction they were kind of going in. And once I kind of figured out the slight direction they were going in, why they decided to go in that direction, So it's a very confusing second act, and things that I can go into in more detail in the spoiler review. But definitely the third act was by far the standout for me, and I think that is where a lot of people are going to enjoy this film more with. And then it almost feels like with the conclusion of the film, they've like tagged on almost unnecessary extra scenes to kind of almost give like a extreme sense of closure that almost felt like an unneeded epilogue in a book. If they had have ended it at a certain point, I think it would have been a better ending and conclusion to the storyline than what they ended up choosing to end the film on instead. I think the acting in this is really well done. I'm going to give its props where they're due. Acting in this is really good. The effects of all of the kills are really well done, to the point where there's some you're just like, I can't look at this because of how disturbing it is. And then there's some of the parts where it almost seemed too laughable, where it almost took you out of the film. And there's plot points in there that don't quite make sense, along with some artistic styles that they chose to go with in this film doesn't quite fit the rest of the tone of the franchise. And I think it's very tonally different. Aside from it being a super slow burn, more storytelling based film, the tone of it, the whole undertone of this film is completely different than what we got from 2018 or in Halloween Kills. I think Jamie Lee Curtis did do a fantastic job in this film. I definitely praise all of her work that she did in this, with producing it, with acting in it, and coming out with a good ending to Laurie Strode. I think Allison's character, it almost felt like they didn't know what to do with her in this film, which made me kind of upset because her motives in this film, with her actions and choices that she makes, seem to kind of come out of nowhere, and there was no backbone to them, especially considering how she was in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. She seems like a completely different character now, and while I know that this film is taking place 4 years after, it's still, I don't see her character evolving from how she was by the end of Halloween Kills to how she is in this film. I'm pretty much going to just leave it there. I think if you are a fan of this franchise and you just want to go out, see a nice ending and conclusion to these characters, then I would say go enjoy it. But I think it's a good enough film to leave people saying, okay, this is it. We're done. And in a way, I am happy about that. I have a lot more thoughts that I can't say in this video. I wish I could. So with all of that being said, I'm going to give Halloween Ends a C+. It's heartbreaking for me to say that I'm giving a Halloween movie less than a B. Halloween is one of my favorite franchises. And if you didn't know that, you can click right up there so that way you can see my horror movie rankings. It saddens me to say that this is a C+ film. There was so much potential and such a big direction that they could have gone in, and they chose to go in a different one. And while I give them extreme props for having the balls to go in the direction that they chose, I do think that it is definitely a bit of a letdown in terms of the whole picture of what this franchise had built up to. So take that how you will. You can make the choice. I think the theater experience is always going to make for a better film view, especially if you have the right audience that you're seeing it with. But if you do want to wait, there is zero harm. I know it is also on Peacock, so if you have Peacock, you can start streaming it at home as well. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this film. If you have seen the film and you agree with me, make sure you like this video. Leave some comments down below. I read them all. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I put out weekly videos. And hit that notification bell so you know when I post a brand new video, because if you don't, how else are you going to know when to post? You won't. So do it. Like I said, I will have a spoiler review coming out Sunday night, so we can have a bit more of a discussion on that. But until then, bye, friendships.